mentioned you have almost 800 acres of your own vineyards. Is it important to also obtain fruit from growers in the region, and why?
Irpinia, and more generally Campania, because Irpinia is part of it, is where we are, is in the central part, as said. It's characterized by one thing that you don't find anywhere else in Europe, I think, today. You still have farmers in the traditional way. So you still have people that actually live out of what they own. And sometimes they own less than an hectare of land or less than 2 acres of land. And they do everything in there. They do fruit trees, they have vegetables, they have vineyard. So it's very important to preserve, because the vineyard has been planted there because it belonged there. And it was more productive and more qualitative. That's why we hope to preserve our farmers that still contribute for 35% of our production. Sometimes they do the best grapes that we actually transform come from them, because they have a passion attached to the vineyard that is always will be bigger than what an employee can transfer. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that some of them are, the kids don't want to continue, so we are progressively increasing our ownership. And we started, we were at 30%, now we are at 65%, and already we know that next year we'll be at 80%. So our internal capability will be close to 100% in a few years. And for me, it's unfortunate, because really these farmers are part of our richness.
You have very old vine. Talk a little bit about the range of age, vine age, and what that means to the quality of the wines, and how Pierpaolo addresses that work in the vineyard to respect those older vines.
First of all, I mean, Pierpaolo is not here, otherwise he should have answered better than me. But one interesting thing is that he worked everywhere in the world, and he said that he learned much more in Campania, and in Irpinia in particular. He received more than what he gave in that region, specifically. This is because we have these incredibly old vines that survived to the Filosera. We have not just 3 vines. We have, for instance, in Aglianico, in the Aglianico area, we have a few hectares that are of vines that are 200 years old, that represent different clones that we can reproduce, so giving us a quality of genetic material to do our new vineyards that is incredible. So we have such an history also in the vineyards that Pierpaolo could really enjoy himself. No? What did he bring? He brought an approach to pruning and in general to vineyards management that is very sustainable and respectful of the long-term life of the vines. But I think his contribution was more critical in other areas where really the vineyards were in a way were burdened with heavy productivity measures. In our area, it was never the case. Yields were traditionally very low. Farmers, because they were farmers and not large companies, farmers were thinking not of not losing the vineyard and the vines, not just having high product 1 year. So there was always a sustainable idea behind. That's why his contribution was incredibly important, but he also found himself, I mean, he found an area that was particularly suitable for what he brought in.